The morning light slides gently across the workbench, catching the deep, earthy sheen of English bridle leather. It's thick, sturdy, and smooth, the kind of leather that seems to whisper its heritage through touch alone. You can almost feel the centuries of tradition it carries, a craft that began long before machines, when patience was the most important tool in a man's hands. The craftsman lays the hide flat, its scent warm and rich, a mix of oak, bark, wax, and time. This is no ordinary leather. English bridle leather is vegetable-tanned, a process perfected over generations by tanners who used nothing but natural tree barks and oils. It's the same technique once used for horse harnesses and royal saddlery, chosen for its strength, smooth finish, and deep color that grows more beautiful with age. The blade glides softly across the surface, a whispering cut. The sound is delicate but definite, like silk being parted. Each motion is measured, each slice a conversation between steel and hide. The leather resists slightly, reminding you that this is no simple material. It's alive in its own quiet way. Tiny curls of fiber rise and fall as he trims the edges. You can almost hear the faint scratch of the knife's tip as it finds the perfect line. Beneath his hands, the table bears old scars, marks of hundreds of past creations. Every groove tells a story of patience and precision. He pauses for a moment, feeling the grain with his fingertips, smooth, firm, and full of character. English bridle leather is hot stuffed with oils and tallows, giving it that signature depth and soft pull. In ancient England, it was said that the best bridles could last a lifetime, a bond between horse and rider, between maker and craft. Now, that same tradition breathes through the making of a simple waist belt. The ruler taps lightly against the hide, a rhythm of measurement. Each mark is deliberate, not rushed. The craftsman's hand moves with quiet certainty, the pencil sliding across the surface, leaving faint grey lines that soon will disappear under the knife. There's something hypnotic about the precision, about watching raw material surrender to artistry. The creak of the leather as it bends slightly under pressure, the soft shuffle of cloth wiping the surface clean, all of it merges into a kind of leather symphony. He begins to bevel the edges, shaving away the sharp corners to create a gentle curve. The sound changes. It's softer now, almost like brushing sandpaper against wood. Each motion refines the belt's edge, preparing it for a smooth, burnished finish. In medieval times, craftsmen would rub beeswax and bone along their leather edges, polishing them to perfection without a single machine. Today, the ritual continues, quiet and timeless. The edge creaser glides along next. Its metal tip warms slightly from friction, leaving a faint dark line that outlines the belt's borders. That single detail, a subtle indentation, gives the piece a defined, elegant frame. In the past, leatherworkers called this the pride line. It was their signature, a way to show that even something as practical as a belt could be art. He reaches for a jar of wax. The smell of beeswax fills the air, sweet, earthy, almost nostalgic. A soft cloth dips in, and he begins to rub the wax along the surface. The motion is slow, circular. The sound is faint, a gentle swish of fabric against hide. Under his hands, the leather begins to gleam, as though waking from sleep. You can almost imagine the medieval tanneries of Walsall or Orr, Northampton, the heart of England's leather trade. River water flowing past, barrels of bark soaking hides for months. The workers' hands stained deep brown from tannins. Even kings once wore belts made by these same traditions. The craftsman punches holes with quiet precision. Each press of the tool gives a muffled click, steady, rhythmic, satisfying. The smell of freshly opened leather fibers rises faintly into the air. These holes are not just practical, they're marks of proportion, balance, and intent. He lifts the finished strap and runs his thumb across the surface. The leather bends smoothly, creasing slightly, but never cracking. That's the hallmark of good English bridle leather, its ability to flex with grace. He places the strap beside a brass buckle. The contrast is beautiful, warm brown and shining gold. The metal catches the workshop light, reflecting tiny sparks across the table. It feels ceremonial, this union of materials, soft meets strong, ancient meets enduring. For a moment, the craftsman simply watches. There's no rush. In a world full of speed, leatherwork teaches the value of stillness. Every step requires waiting, understanding, and feeling. It's not about finishing, it's about becoming. He threads the leather through the buckle, measuring, aligning, testing. The buckle clinks faintly. That sound, metal and hide meeting for the first time, feels almost like a handshake. Around the edges of the workshop, tools hang neatly. Awls, mallets, burnishes, each one worn smooth from years of touch. These tools have no screens, no batteries, no noise, just purpose. They belong to an older rhythm, the rhythm of making things that last. As the craftsman prepares for stitching, he places the strap on the groover, marking the lines where thread will later run. The faint scrape of metal against leather fills the air again, that familiar ASMR hum of precision. English bridle leather, he knows, comes from the best hides of European cattle. Its strength is legendary. When tanned oils are infused deep into its fibers, making it weather-resistant yet supple. Even centuries ago, knights and riders favored it because it could endure rain, sun, and time, yet always remain elegant. The first thread unspools from the waxed spool. It glints slightly under light, golden, smooth, strong. There's a ritual in threading the needles, pulling both ends equal, waxing the thread between fingers. The wax squeaks faintly. It's a sound only leatherworkers know, the prelude to creation. Soon, the calm rhythm of saddle stitching will begin. 2 needles, 1 thread, and an ancient technique that binds more than leather. It binds the maker's patience into the piece itself. And as the craftsman takes a breath, the air seems to still around him. Every motion, every sound, every detail, from the scent of beeswax to the whisper of thread, feels like an echo from the past. This is not just making a belt, it's preserving a language of craft, one stitch, one sound, one story at a time. The workshop has fallen into a soft, golden quiet. Dust floats lazily through the morning light, and the scent of leather lingers warm, honest, timeless. The craftsman sits still for a moment, hands resting gently on the belt strap. What began as a rawhide has already taken shape, yet the most delicate stage still awaits. The stitching, the polishing, the birth of perfection through patience. He picks up the awl. Its point gleams faintly, sharp but steady. When it touches the leather, there's a clean, muted pop. The sound of fibers parting, not tearing. Each hole must be even, spaced with precision. The rhythm of piercing and lifting creates a quiet heartbeat in the room. Some say you can tell a craftsman's experience by the sound of his awl too fast, and the leather bruises, too slow, and the holes lose their line. The thread waits, coiled and ready. It's linen, waxed thick for strength. Between the fingers, it feels slightly tacky, gripping just enough to pull through cleanly. The craftsman threads his needles, one on each end, a centuries-old ritual known as saddle stitching. This technique dates back to ancient harness makers, used long before sewing machines existed. Even today, No machine can match its durability or beauty. The first stitch sinks in, a soft pull, a gentle squeak. The wax glides across the edge, sealing fibers as it goes. The second stitch follows, then the third, a steady, mesmerizing rhythm. Left hand pulls, right hand answers. The sound repeats. Pull, tighten, breathe. Pull, tighten, breathe. It's almost meditative, like the ticking of a slow clock. Each stitch crosses the other inside the hole, creating a double-locked bond. In leatherwork tradition, they say the stitch holds not just thread and hide, but the maker's patience, woven invisibly into the object itself. Under the light, the thread glows slightly, creating a perfect, parallel line along the edge of the belt. Every inch feels alive, pulsing with quiet craftsmanship. As the craftsman works, you can almost sense the echoes of old workshops, stone-walled rooms filled with the scent of tallow and oak bark, where masters once trained apprentices for years before they could stitch a bridle. Back then, every belt, every strap was part of a life, tools for travelers, soldiers, and kings alike. The stitching continues. The belt flexes slightly with each pull, the wax binding tighter into the grain. When the last stitch is drawn and cut, there's a final, satisfying snap of thread. The craftsman burns the end gently with a small flame, a faint hiss, a whiff of smoke, and then silence. He runs his thumb across the seam, smooth, firm, flawless. The belt feels like one piece now, no beginning, no end. Next comes the edge, burnishing, a stage of transformation. The craftsman dips a small cloth into a clear liquid, perhaps gum tragacanth or water, and runs it along the edges. The leather darkens slightly, deepening in color. He takes the wooden burnisher, a tool shaped by hand, polished from years of use, and begins to rub the edges in quick, even strokes. A new sound fills the air, soft friction, a faint squeal, rising heat. The edges slowly turn glassy smooth, catching the light like river stones. This, too, is ancient practice. Before modern coatings existed, craftsmen relied solely on friction and wax to seal the leather's pores. The result wasn't just beauty, it was longevity. He applies a thin coat of beeswax next. The cloth swirls in slow, soothing circles, the wax melting slightly under touch. The scent is unmistakable, warm honey mixed with the deep, earthy perfume of leather. You can almost feel the weight of history in that aroma. The same smell that might have filled a medieval saddle room or a Victorian gentleman's workshop. As he polishes, the leather comes alive with light. It's no longer dull or flat. Instead, it glows with that unmistakable richness only bridal leather possesses, a soft luster that deepens with every movement. He lifts the finished belt, inspecting it closely. The brass buckle gleams at one end, held firm by a stitched loop. Its golden tone contrasts beautifully with the dark chestnut leather, a pairing as old as time. The craftsman's reflection flickers faintly in the metal, like an echo of his dedication. He slides the belt gently through the buckle, listening to the quiet creak as the leather folds over itself. The sound is intimate, a whisper of life returning to something once still. A single rivet secures the keeper loop. The hammer taps softly, each strike deliberate and measured. The vibration hums faintly through the table. It's not just about fastening parts, it's about sealing meaning. Every belt like this carries a story of the animal that provided the hide, the hands that tanned it, and the artisan who gave it form. He wipes the surface with a final cloth. The belt gleams under light, simple, strong, timeless. There's an old English saying, good leather grows better with every journey. Over time, This belt will darken, soften, and carry the mark of its wearer. Each day will leave a faint imprint, a memory pressed into its fibers. That's the beauty of real craftsmanship. It doesn't fade, it transforms. The craftsman rests his hands on the table. The tools around him lie silent. The blade, the awl, the burnisher, each one part of a ritual that connects him to generations before. He knows that what he's made today isn't just an accessory, it's a quiet continuation of human artistry. The same patience that shaped saddles, armor straps, and explorer belts across centuries. He looks at the finished piece once more. The leather gleams like a sunset caught on skin. The brass buckle shines faintly. The air carries a calm satisfaction, the kind that only comes from creating something lasting. Outside, the day moves on, but inside the workshop, time feels slower, fuller. The faint scent of beeswax lingers like a blessing. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the story whispering from the belt itself, of English hills, oak barrels, patient hands, and timeless craft. It's not just an object, it's a testament to care, touch, and tradition. The craftsman folds the belt gently, the leather bending in a perfect arc. He places it on the bench. Beside his tools, the symbols of a practice both ancient and enduring. There's no applause, no noise, no rush, just silence and the quiet hum of completion. For him, that's enough, because true craftsmanship doesn't shout, it speaks softly through every texture, scent, and stitch that time will never forget. The workshop grows quieter now. Only the soft hum of evening air drifts through the open window. The day's work rests complete, a waist belt, simple yet magnificent, lying across the wooden table like a symbol of patience itself. Its surface gleams under the fading light, deep, rich, and full of life. Each stitch, each edge, each polished curve tells a story of care. You can almost feel the warmth still trapped in the leather, as if the craftsman's touch remains woven into it. He lifts the belt once more, the brass buckle catching one final glint of gold. There's a gentle creak as it bends, the sound of perfection meeting purpose. English bridle leather, it was once the pride of royal saddlers and noble artisans. Today, it continues that same legacy, not just in luxury, but in honesty. It carries the scent of history, the texture of tradition, and the quiet voice of those who shaped it by hand. The craftsman smiles faintly, not at the product, but at the process, the quiet hours, the rhythm of creation, the beauty of doing something slowly in a world that never stops rushing. He places the belt on the rack, next to others, each one different, each one alive. The light dims, the day ends, but the story of the leather continues in every mark, every hand, and every journey it will share from this day forward.